Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm gonna give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Rule Web, and the great example to his younger brothers in the truth. And peace and blessing to the hopeful elect, Lord, with this edifying lesson. And I'm gonna title it Cannibalism, just simple as that, cannibalism. Because cannibalism is coming, and famine is coming. These things are coming upon the earth, and they was discussing this in this podcast. Mike Adams, I don't know who this other dude is. To the left, I don't know who he is, but Mike Adams and somebody. And we're gonna get straight into it, Lord willing, it's edifying. Because through the fear of the Lord do we persuade men. And these things are prophecies that are gonna come to pass soon, and creeping up as we speak.
East Coast, well, guess what? There's going to be radioactive water vapor.
Which they also talking about right here. They talking about what could cause a famine. They talking about the unmanned, so-called unmanned nuclear submarine that's off the coast of the East Coast. That's what they talking about. But
In the air falling across all of the United States as well. It's not just water fallout, it's radioactive water fallout. It's like, you know, they can ruin the whole world just like that. And there's madmen at the helm right now. This is the problem.
Yeah, and add in, several thousand tons of depleted uranium rounds or whatever it might be. And then you're just adding to that contamination because you can't tell me looking around over in Iraq, how much DU we put down there. And you're going to tell me that they're still going to farm after all the depleted uranium was splattered all over the place and
Right.
across the entire country.
Yeah.
You're just adding, onto that. So I hope it doesn't come to that point because that truly would be, if you wake up in the news in the morning and that truly has happened, where there was some sort of device over the Ukraine, or Kazakhstan would be another one. We are literally going to have a famine that same year to the point where, yeah, I wouldn't want to be there. That's really like biblical scary type of end times type of thing there on the famines. And by the way, I was looking at a couple.
and even if they don't do the things that they talking about, the Lord is gonna cause a famine regardless, whether they shoot a nuke somewhere and fuck everything up or not. It's gonna be a famine regardless. You know.
Predictions for the year. And here was one: economic disaster. The prices will get so high in wheat that man will eat man.
Ooh.
Meaning the failed economy leads to cannibalism. And I'm already looking at a zero, barely functioning supply chain, no fertilizers, no pesticides, few herbicides, and honey shall cost far more than candle wax. So I'm sitting here going, we're getting pretty close to that. A few more moves on the chessboard and we'll be right there. Where then again, it's biblical. You talk about what was that? A day's wage for a loaf of bread, something like this.
Mm.
hmm And that's in that Ezekiel. But let's get this. This Isaiah chapter. Jeremiah, because this Isaiah 9 and 19 that they got is going to the nuclear destruction. Jeremiah chapter 19 and verse 9 is saying, I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat every one the flesh of his friend in the siege and straightness, wherewith their enemies and they that seek their lives shall straighten them. Yep, going into 70 AD. The different sieges that Esau was Salaki. I said Esau that Israel was caught up in. But this thing's finna hit the whole earth, man. This time. So everybody, especially in America, everybody is gonna be besieged. The whole all the citizens of America. You know, these things are coming upon the earth. Everybody in the world, ultimately, not just America, the whole earth, but it's gonna be the worst in Babylon the Great because this is Babylon the Great. You know,
Well,
That's
let's
what you
hope.
would expect after that detonation over that. A day's wage for a loaf of bread.
Wow, wow. Well, you just mentioned cannibalism, so very concerning trend to see. But there's been in the media a lot of talk of cannibalism over the last year or so, and the way things are going here, might be a very popular YouTube channel like cannibalism recipes or like human jerky. Do it yourself with a dehydrator and some soy sauce. I mean, it sounds crazy, but this is the world that we appear to be going into. And I have the question for you about, cities versus rural living. So if you're in a city and we suffer a catastrophic breakdown of diesel fuel or transportation, then you're in a food desert instantly. Where if you're in a rural area and you've had connections with local farmers and producers of some kind, and you have some surface water, you got some ponds and streams and so on, you have options. I mean, they may not be pleasant, but you have options. But you're in the city, you're eating your neighbor. That. I mean, sadly, that's what it seems like it's going to come to, unless the global supply chain is fixed here.
Yeah, and that's a great point you brought up because, for me, there's lines I will never cross. And I don't care how hungry I get, I will not eat another human. I would prefer.
You saying that now? If the Lord ain't with you, ain't no telling what you're gonna do in the times that we coming in, man. This in Revelation, what the precept they was quoting. This Revelation chapter 6 and verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And behold, lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts saying, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil or the wine, because it's gonna be a famine that's gonna come, you know. But this truth gonna, it ain't gonna destroy the truth, because that's the oil and the wine, you know. But that measure of wheat for a penny and the measure of barley for a penny is because it's it's finna get bad in the earth, man. Hyperinflation is gonna kick in. And nobody's gonna really be able to afford the food in the store, so people gonna loot and take everything. Then guess what? It just ain't gonna be nothing. The trucks are gonna stop running. EMP attack or something. We don't know. Anything can happen if the power go out. It's over with. The trucks and stuff and trains and all these different things start running. So this thing can go many different ways without a nuclear attack, man. They killing off all the chicken, destroying all these different food plants. They ain't processing or making fertilizer and different things to grow on a mass scale for these big farmers and shit. So it's gonna get real, man. It ain't gonna take a nuke for the famine to kick in. That's gonna happen regardless. You know.
Death to eat another human. But at the same time, if somebody's coming in, a group of people are coming to rob your supplies and overtake you in your home, there's lines you're going to have to draw for your.
So like it, this Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 9. See, if the Lord ain't with you, ain't no telling what you're gonna do in these times. And when I say ain't no telling what you're gonna do, I mean it's no telling what you're gonna do if the Lord not with you, man. You drawing boundaries for yourself, but the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, man. Who can know it? This Lamentation chapter 4 and verse 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away stricken through the want of the fruits of the field. It say the hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their children. I'm pretty sure women think say I never eat my kid. That's something I would just not do. I'd rather die. The hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. So how much more this guy? you know, you gonna grab motherfucker up and eat the shit out their ass if you have to. And if not, you just gonna starve to death. But the men of the Lord, those who fear and trust and believe in the Lord, you heathen, y'all just through. But I'm talking about Israelites who fear and trust and believe in the Lord, who are part of the hopeful elect. They ain't got nothing to worry about, man. Never, quoting the scripture, the Lord say, never have I seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. You know, it say, they were their meat in destruction of the daughter of my people. Yeah, going into those different sieges and things of that nature. Cannibalism happened. Now, all you heathens and everybody finna catch it, man. Because Esau want to depopulate the earth, man. That's one of his NWO agendas. Depopulation, thinning the herd, so to speak.
Self mentally before any of this happens. And I already know where a lot of my lines are in terms of, light versus this dark vibration and where we sit in this battle between, literal good and evil. And I've drawn lines everywhere and I will not cross so many of them, regardless of what happens to
This Lamentation chapter 2 and verse 20, it say, behold, O Lord Yahweh, and consider to whom thou hast done this. Shall a woman eat their fruit? And that's going into their children. And shall a woman eat their fruit and children of a span long? Shall the priests and the prophets be slain in the sanctuary? And that's a question. And the question was, yeah, this happened. And it's gonna happen again on a large scale. Men, women, children, cannibalism is gonna be a end thing, man. You know.
me. There's just some things that are, there's things I will never, ever do.
Yeah, but
You got to be
as
ready
you
to make those
know,
choices
other
already.
other people will cross those lines because we live in a very immoral society, right? So, and I know you realize that. I'm just pointing it
Yeah,
out that
because the scriptures say the love of many shall wax cold, and that's what's happening. The love of many already waxing cold. You got people like Jeffrey Dahmer, things of that nature. People already kill people and eat them, man. Cannibals, man, in the earth. So this ain't gonna be a far fetched thing when a motherfucker starving to death. You know.
even though you're not willing to eat your neighbors are probably willing to eat you, right?
Well,
So
that's where we're going to have a problem. And that's enough.
exactly, exactly. Um, which okay, we don't need to go into details of what that will entail, but I will just tell people don't eat your neighbors after you've riddled them with lead in self-defense, okay? Because not it's cannibalism and lead poisoning, two rolled into one. Not a good scene.
Now let me get this one. This the book of Second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world, the whole entire world, and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their own power. It say, verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because it's gonna be with the martial law. We're gonna have military troops and UN troops and all kind of different troops blocking different things off to where if wherever you at, you're gonna be stuck where you at. You're gonna have to get it how you live, man, until it's gone. It say in so like verse 17 again, for a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Verse 18, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So these things that they speaking about gonna happen. Is it gonna happen in the fashion that they speaking about it in? No, probably not, but it's gonna happen. That's why the scriptures say the children of this world are wiser than the children of light, because our people not paying attention to famines, hyperinflation. Our people not paying attention to things like that, man. Our people worried about bullshit, man. They not preparing their minds for what's gonna come upon the earth. That's why the Lord say He come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth. See, we watching for these things. You got a lot of these Edomites watching things, but they are heathens, man. So they gonna be destroyed anyway. And if they are Israelites that just look like so-called white people or whatever kind of people, they still gonna be destroyed because they not following the doctrine of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh at the end of the day.
So, try to live near reasonable people who are preppers.
Which
Living on the street, like we
that's pretty much the point. Cause I ain't gonna tell them what they'll talk about on here, you know. So I'm gonna go and close it out. Cannibalism is gonna come. Invading neighbors, spoiling their goods, because of the lack of bread is gonna come. Famine is gonna come. These things are approaching the earth, man. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I want to end it giving all honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Rakakodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone. Shalom.